My dear students, welcome back to our channel. In this video, I will be explaining the BBA 5th semester subject Financial Markets and Services as prescribed by Osmania University and other universities of Telangana. We will go through the important questions and answers one by one. Let's begin with a quick revision. Unit 3 first important short question is: what is leasing? Leasing is a method of using an asset without buying it. In simple words, it is like taking something on rent for a long period. The owner of the asset is called the lessor, and the person who uses it is called the lessee. The lessee pays regular monthly or yearly payments, called lease rent, for using the asset. After the lease period ends, the lessee usually returns the asset unless there is an option to buy it. Easy example. Suppose a company needs a car for business but does not want to spend 10 lakhs rupees at once. So, the company takes the car on lease from a leasing company. The leasing company buys the car and gives it to the business. The business pays monthly lease rent and uses the car just like its own. Why it's easy to remember. Leasing is equal to long-term renting plus no need to buy plus regular payments. Leasing helps companies use costly assets like machines, cars, computers, etc. without paying huge amounts at the beginning. Next important short question is: financial lease. A financial lease is a type of lease where the lessee, user, takes the asset for almost its full useful life and cannot normally cancel the agreement. It is also called a capital lease because it works very similar to buying the asset on installments. In a financial lease, the lessor recovers the full cost of the asset through lease payments. The lessee is responsible for maintenance, repairs, insurance, and taxes just like an owner. Easy example. A small manufacturing company needs a machine worth 20 lakh rupees. Buying it is expensive, so the company takes it on a financial lease for 5 years. The lease covers almost the full life of the machine. The company pays fixed monthly rentals and also pays for maintenance. After the lease ends, the company may get an option to buy the machine at a small price. Easy way to remember. Financial lease is equal to long-term lease plus lessee behaves like the owner plus full cost recovered by lessor. Next important short question is: 3. Define hire purchase. Define hire purchase. Hire purchase, HP, is a method of buying an asset by paying in installments. You first take the asset home, use it, and pay the amount in monthly or yearly payments. But the main point is, you become the owner only after paying the last installment. Until the full payment is made, the seller, or finance company, is the owner and the buyer is only the hirer. Easy example. Suppose Ramesh wants to buy a bike worth 80,000 rupee but cannot pay the full amount at once. He buys it on hire purchase. He pays 20,000 rupees as down payment and the rest in monthly installments. He uses the bike freely, but the ownership will transfer to him only after the final installment is paid. If he stops paying, the company can take the bike back. Easy way to remember. Hire purchase is equal to use now plus pay in parts plus ownership at the end. Next important short question is: 4. Hire purchase versus lease. Hire purchase versus lease. Hire purchase, HP, and lease both help people and businesses use costly assets without paying the full amount at once. But they are not the same. 1. Ownership. Hire purchase, ownership transfers to the buyer after the last installment. Lease, ownership never transfers to the lessee. 2. Payments. HP payments are called installments. lease payments are called lease rentals. 3. Who maintains the asset? HP, the buyer, hirer, maintains it. Lease, in financial lease, lessee maintains, in operating lease, lessor maintains. 4. Example. Ravi buys a laptop on hire purchase. He pays monthly and becomes owner at the end. A company uses cars on lease, they pay rent but never become owners. Easy way to remember. Hire purchase is equal to buy slowly. Lease is equal to rent for long term. Next important short question is 5. Define venture capital. Venture capital, VC, is a type of funding given to new, small, or innovative businesses that have great ideas but do not have enough money to start or grow. It is provided by venture capitalists, investors who give money in return for ownership, shares, in the company. Venture capital is mainly given to startups that have high risk but also high growth potential. Easy example. A young team in Bengaluru develops an idea for an electric scooter that charges in 10 minutes. They need 2 crore rupees to start production but cannot get a bank loan because their business is new. A venture capital firm invests money in their company and becomes a part owner. If the startup becomes successful, both the founders and the VC earn big profits. Easy way to remember. Venture capital is equal to money for new ideas plus high risk plus high reward. It helps innovative Indian startups grow faster and become big companies. Next unit 3. Long questions. First important long question is 1. Asset fund-based financial services. Asset fund-based financial services are services where financial institutions provide money or physical assets to customers. These services involve direct investment of funds, meaning the finance company actually gives cash or buys assets on behalf of the customer. They are important in India because many businesses cannot afford to buy costly machines, vehicles, or equipment at once. These services help individuals and companies meet their financial needs without facing huge upfront costs. 1. Leasing. In leasing, the finance company, lessor, buys an asset like machinery, vehicles, or computers and gives it to the customer, lessee, for use. The customer pays regular lease rent. Example. A company needs a truck worth 30 lakh rupees. Instead of buying it, they take it on lease and pay monthly rent. 2. Hire purchase. In hire purchase, the buyer pays an initial down payment and the rest in installments. Ownership transfers only after the last payment. Example. A small shop owner buys a refrigerator on hire purchase, pays in monthly installments. 3. Venture capital. Venture capital is money given to new or innovative startups that have high growth potential. The investor becomes a part owner of the company. Example. A startup developing AI software receives VC funding to grow. 4. Bill discounting. In bill discounting, businesses get instant cash by selling their bills, invoices, to banks at a discount. Example. A manufacturer sells goods on credit for 1 lakh rupees. The bank gives 95,000 rupees immediately and collects full amount later. 5. Housing and vehicle finance. Finance companies provide loans to help people buy homes, cars, and bikes by paying monthly EMIs. Example. A family buys a house worth 40 lakh rupees with home finance. Easy way to remember AHVBL. A. Asset-based services. H. Hire purchase. V. Venture capital. B. Bill discounting. L. Leasing. In simple words, asset fund-based financial services help people use or buy costly assets by giving money, loans, or assets directly. They support business growth and make expensive resources affordable. Next important long question is 2. Leasing, concept and classification. Leasing is a long-term rental agreement where one party, lessor, owns an asset and gives it to another party, lessee, to use for a fixed period in return for regular payments called lease rentals. The lessee uses the asset, but ownership stays with the lessor. Leasing is very popular in India because small companies and startups often cannot afford costly machinery, vehicles, or equipment. Leasing helps them use the asset immediately without buying it. Concept of leasing, simple explanation. Leasing means use now, pay regularly, don't own. The lessor buys the asset, gives it to the lessee. Lessee pays rent, returns the asset, mostly after the period. Example. A school wants computers but cannot spend 10 lakh rupees at once. A leasing company buys the computers and gives them to the school. The school pays monthly rent and uses the computers for 5 years. Classification of leasing. Leasing can be classified into the following types. 1. Financial lease. Long-term and mostly non-cancelable. Lessee maintains the asset. Lessor recovers the full cost of the asset. Example. A machine leased for 7 years covering its full life. 2. Operating lease. Short-term and cancelable. Lessor maintains the asset. Lease period is shorter than the asset's life. Example. Photocopier taken on monthly rental with maintenance included. 3. Sale and lease back. Owner sells an asset to a leasing company and immediately takes it back on lease. Helps raise quick cash. Example. A company sells its building to a finance company, gets money, and leases the building back. 4. Leveraged lease. Lease financed by multiple parties, usually banks. Used for very expensive assets like aircraft and ships. Example. Airlines leasing aircraft through bank-financed leases. 5. Cross-border lease. Asset is leased between companies of different countries. Example. An Indian company leasing machinery from a German company. Easy way to remember types: FOSLC. F. Financial lease. O. Operating lease. S. Sale and lease back. L. Leveraged lease. C. Cross-border lease. In short, leasing helps businesses use expensive assets without buying them, and its types fit different business needs. Next important long question is 3. Explain the concept of leasing. Discuss the advantages and limitations of leasing. Explain the concept of leasing, advantages and limitations. Concept of leasing. Leasing is a long-term rental agreement where the owner of an asset, lessor, gives the right to use that asset to another person or business, lessee, for a fixed period. The lessee pays regular lease rentals and uses the asset, but ownership remains with the lessor. In simple words, leasing is equal to use the asset now plus pay gradually plus no ownership. Leasing is useful for businesses that need machines, vehicles, or computers but cannot pay the full price at once. Example. A startup wants machinery worth 15 lakh rupees but lacks funds. A leasing company buys the machine and gives it on lease to the startup. The startup pays monthly rent and uses the machine for 5 years. Advantages of leasing. 1. No huge initial payment. The lessee need not pay the full price of the asset. This helps small businesses manage cash easily. 2. Easy to obtain. Leasing requires less documentation than loans. Many businesses get assets quickly. 3. Provides 100% financing. Unlike loans, which need margin money, leasing provides full cost financing. 4. Flexibility. Lease periods and rental amounts can be decided based on the needs of the lessee. 5. Tax benefits. Lease rentals are deductible as business expenses, reducing taxable income. Limitations of leasing. 1. No ownership. Even after paying rent for many years, the lessee does not become the owner. 2. Higher overall cost. Long-term leasing may cost more than buying the asset because of interest and fees. 3. Cannot cancel easily. Financial leases are mostly non-cancelable. The lessee must pay full rentals. 4. Lessee bears risks. In financial lease, repair, maintenance, and insurance must be handled by the lessee. 5. Limited control. The lessee must follow the lease agreement and cannot freely modify or sell the asset. Easy way to remember. Advantages is equal to CETFF. C. Cash saving. E. Easy to get. T. Tax benefit. F. Full financing. F. Flexible. Limitations is equal to OHNRL. O. No ownership. H. High cost. N. Non-cancelable. R. Repairs by lessee. L. Limited control. Leasing is helpful, but businesses must choose carefully. Next important long question is 4. Hire purchase mechanism. Hire purchase mechanism. Hire purchase, HP, is a system where a person or business can buy an asset by paying in installments. The buyer gets immediate possession of the asset but becomes the owner only after paying the last installment. Until then, the seller, usually a finance company, retains ownership. In simple words, hire purchase is equal to use now plus pay in parts plus own at the end. Mechanism of hire purchase. 1. Agreement. The buyer and seller sign a hire purchase agreement specifying the asset, down payment, installments, interest, and ownership terms. 2. Down payment. The buyer pays a small portion of the price upfront, called the down payment. This is usually 10-20% of the asset value. 3. Installments. The remaining amount is paid in regular installments, which include part of the principal and interest. 4. Possession and use. The buyer gets possession immediately and can use the asset freely, but cannot sell or transfer it until the last installment is paid. 5. Transfer of ownership. After paying the final installment, ownership of the asset is transferred from the seller to the buyer. 6. Default. If the buyer fails to pay installments, the seller has the right to repossess the asset. Example. Ravi wants to buy a motorbike worth 90,000 rupees but cannot pay the full amount. He pays 20,000 rupees as down payment. He agrees to pay the remaining 70,000 rupees in monthly installments of 7,000 rupees for 10 months. He takes the bike immediately and uses it. After the 10th installment, the bike becomes his property. If he misses a payment, the finance company can take the bike back. Easy way to remember. HP is equal to DIPT. D. Down payment. I. Installments. P. Possession now. T. Transfer of ownership at the end. Hire purchase is a popular way for individuals and small businesses in India to own expensive assets gradually while enjoying immediate use. Next important long question is 5. Describe the stages of financing and why they are important. Stages of financing and their importance. Financing a business or startup usually happens in stages, because the amount of money needed and the risk involved changes as the business grows. Understanding these stages helps entrepreneurs plan funding and attract investors like banks, venture capitalists, or angel investors. 1. Seed capital. This is the very first money used to develop an idea or project. It covers activities like market research, product design, and feasibility studies. Usually comes from the founders, family, or friends. Example: a student wants to develop a mobile app. She uses 2 lakh rupees from her savings to hire a developer and test the app. 2. Startup capital. This stage funds launching the business. Money is needed for buying initial inventory, hiring staff, marketing, and legal costs. Risk is still high, so banks usually avoid funding. Venture capitalists may invest. Example: the app is ready, and the founder needs 10 lakh rupees to launch it on app stores and run ads. 3. Growth expansion capital. Given to an already running business to expand operations, enter new markets, or buy equipment. Risk is moderate, and banks or venture capitalists provide funding. Example: the app is successful, and the founder needs 50 lakh rupees to add new features and hire a marketing team. 4. Mezzanine or bridge financing. Short-term funding to bridge a gap before a bigger funding round or public offering. Usually comes from banks or private investors. Example: the app wants to launch a premium subscription model but needs 10 lakh rupees temporarily before revenue comes in. 5. Exit stage IPO. When investors get their return, either by selling shares to the public, initial public offering, or to another company. Risk is low, and investors earn profit. Example: the app becomes popular, and the founder lists it on the stock exchange, giving early investors their returns. Importance of stages. 1. Helps plan funding according to business needs. 2. Matches risk with investors, high-risk VC, low-risk banks. 3. Ensures funds are used efficiently. 4. Increases the chance of long-term success. Easy way to remember stages: SSGME. S. Seed capital. S. Startup capital. G. Growth expansion capital. M. Mezzanine bridge. E. Exit IPO. This approach allows Indian startups to grow step by step while managing risk and attracting the right investors.